Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amit ji. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you for having me here, the entire Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Profit Accelerator. I'm honored, and I hope that I can make your next 1 hour worthwhile, right? So interesting poll, interesting statistics. I think two-thirds of us in the room do not have exposure outside the country in terms of business operations. So I believe this should be an interesting conversation, right? I'd like to keep it very conversational. So, just feel free to stop me and ask your questions. I'm happy to take them. It's a completely risk-free kind of an environment. You can ask any questions, and as long as I can answer, I have the experience to answer that, I will answer that. If not, I'm happy to, take that question and, help some of my other domain experts answer that questions, right? Great. So I have like a short presentation, but it's very conversational, as I said. And if I can just share my screen. Yeah, I can share my screen. Great. All right, just confirming if you can see my screen. Yeah, awesome. Great. So here we go. Next 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so, right? What do we have in store? At least this is in my head, right? We did a quick sentiment check, and we know that 68% or so are still wanting to expand overseas. So that's out of the way. What I want to cover is the Indian psyche for market entry. I want to spend some time there, because even the way I look at India is a little different, and I'm going to share that through the next few minutes through our discussion. And I believe you find value in that. So even a lot of companies who are existing in India only and do not have a foreign presence, you may find a lot of value there. And I think I did notice a couple of our Southeast Asian friends joining the conference. I believe you will find value there, right? So I'm going to talk about what the Indian psyche is, and essentially market readiness. How do you keep yourself and your business ready for international expansion? So three key sections. I think we've done with the first section. I believe we can move on to the next section, right? The Indian psyche. But yeah, just like to quickly introduce myself very, very briefly, something about me. I've been a founder 4 times across financial services, engineering, multiple sectors. So I've seen that side of the world, experienced that side of the world, flipped my table on the other side, made 13, actually it's 14 angel investments. One which just happened about a couple of weeks ago, across sectors. This is across cosmetics, across clean tech, across airlines tech, logistics tech, legal tech. I'm currently evaluating a fintech, very differentiated fintech, which has international presence. So it's been across the sectors. So feel free to even ask me questions from that aspect as well. So I'm going to share my perspectives of someone who has raised money and someone who also invests money on both sides of the table, right? Before that, my previous life was largely doing cross-border M&A between Latin America and India. Very similar kind of cultural ethos. Latin America and India were very, very similar, but we're very, very different as well, right? They are as emotional as we are, but they are as westernized as the Americans are, right? So that's the similarities and differences. So happy to share and borrow from my little wisdom from that side. Interestingly, I used to deal only with the small companies on both sides. So yeah, I can empathize with the promoter of an MSME. So feel free. Largely around manufacturing and technology space and chemicals. So I think India is known for all these three. So happy to share my experiences there. Right now, I'm on the selection panel and on the investment team of Inflection Point Ventures. We make early stage investments right up to Series A, sector agnostic. Few blockbuster exits have been Bharat Pay. I know everyone knows about Bharat Pay, Milk Basket acquired by Reliance, right? And many others, right, which are growing up. So I can again put on my investment hat there. I was in the founding team to set up the I Am Lucknow incubator in Noida, where again we dealt with a lot of innovators, a lot of first-time founders, second-time founders, and also startups who wanted to build in India but have their markets globally, right? So I did work, and I still work with a lot of my portfolio companies to expand globally. One of them, interestingly, is in airlines tech and logistics tech. So happy to speak about it. And the other one is going to be on clean tech. India homegrown startups. We are expanding them in Southeast Asia, East Africa, and parts of Middle East. Right. So that's one. Long time ago was advising the IT Counter Incubator and Ecoris, which is actually a Dutch public policy firm. So they had hired me for a special project to advise them on looking at entrepreneurial opportunities between Netherlands and India. Right. Yeah, had a corporate stint, got done with it very early, and I'm happy about it, right? But lots to learn when you work at a large corporate like McKinsey and City Markets and Banking. So I'm barring these two career stints, I've always dealt, and I enjoy doing, dealing with founders, promoters of small companies, right? That's where my sweet spot is. So I hope this comes in handy, bring you that three-dimensional aspect of being a founder, advisor, and investor, right? Great. So the first thing, I said, I want to share my perspective on the Indian psyche of market entry, right? Even though a lot of us are Indian companies and are looking to expand overseas, right? But I think having dealt with a lot of early stage investments, I believe, my realization was that, hey, India is not India. Okay, India is something, a very, very different animal, unlike most of the countries, right, that I've looked at. So I thought I'll bring out here, and I hope you find value there. Right. So let's see what it is. Right. What makes India a very, very unique market, even for MSMEs here in the room who are already present in India? What, is there something that's missing in your business strategy? Right. Happy to answer those questions. So yeah, I always love discussing and opening the conversation with a bit of historical context, right? And having done that cross-border M&As, we used to always sensitize the foreigners about, hey, India is very, very different, right? I believe all of us can guess that, right? What monument is that? Very quickly. I like to keep it interactive. I love asking questions. What monument would that be? Well, that's not clearly the Taj Mahal, right? That's the Humayun's tomb. Absolutely correct. That's the Humayun's tomb. So I think our civilization goes back as old as Humayun's tomb, and even in fact before that. But these were like critical milestones in the way we are today, right? On the other side, we've got this gentleman, 2020, 2021, 2022, as we are entering 2022, founder of Dhruva Aerospace. Right? These are micro satellites. As you can see, the founder holding that satellite in the palm, and ISRO is using these satellites to launch. So our space race to space, our space dominance is happening locally, right? We are no longer dependent on foreign aid, foreign collaboration, right? That's the power of India. Look where we are, right? From being super like being invaded, now I think we're trying to invade in a very, very different way. Interestingly, the third part, and this is actually, I've traveled the length and breadth of the country. In fact, all districts in India multiple times, for work. So I've seen and, had, weird and varied experiences. And this one caught my eye and attention. This is the Harley Davidson dealership in a town, not Bombay, not Pune, not Delhi, not Gurgaon, not Noida, not Bangalore. Okay, this is Kolhapur, right? That is the power of India that I look at. Okay, and I think this is what I want to highlight for today. When we say India market entry, it's just not being present in the top 10 metros. It's going much deeper. beyond the non-metros, right? Where there is a lot of purchasing power, but we have not tapped it for multiple reasons, because I think we are blindsided. Uh, Most of the startups that I have invested in are working in the non-metros, and the highest growth is coming from these non-metros, right? So that's another evidence of what the power of multiple Indias are. Uh, and that's what I wanted to highlight in the next few slides. So how could you leverage this, right? There's a distinct way to do this. Uh, we've got about 850 million as the consumer base, right? In towns like Kolhapur, Sangli, Moradabad, Muzaffarpur, right? Pantnagar, Hampi, Hubli, Salem, all these put together, right? Few cities, a lot of towns and cities in Northeast. So then I would say non-metro, the non-top 10 cities, if you exclude that, this is almost a billion population, right? Huge, massive. Some 750K towns, 650K towns and villages, right? But the interesting part is 500 million of those 850 million are new internet users, right? So the question we should be asking all of us, where if you want to expand geographically, so for me, market entry means you are expanding into newer geographies, right? You are expanding. When we say newer geographies, means it's a completely different behavior of consumers you're dealing with, a new habit you're dealing with, right? So how many of us are leveraging, how many of your businesses are leveraging the power of internet, where these 500 million new customers or users exist, right? Are we selling to them? That's also market entry from an India perspective, right? Of course, in addition to going beyond the Indian borders, right? 200 billion was $200 billion is the actual payments that happened in 2020, okay, for these 850 million consumer base. All right. And this is as per Google Analytics and Boston Consulting Group. That has, I mean, this internet revolution, digital revolution, has created 100 billion consumer packaged goods market. Okay. And I'm talking non-metros again. We're looking at a $25 billion agri-tech market. We're looking at a $90 billion fintech market by 2025. So in your respective businesses, is non-India or Bharat a part of your strategy as your geographic expansion? And for our friends in Southeast Asia, you should be looking at India not as a single market, but with a lot of granular lens like this, right? And I'll talk more about it. So that's the power that I've highlighted of the next massive consumption base. And interestingly, it's the world's largest customer base. Nowhere else you'll find this larger customer base with a purchasing power that is rapidly increasing and where the aspirations are very, very global. Right. And I'm talking about all of this with having traveled to the lengths and breadths of the country for business for a lot of my portfolio companies. Right. So then, I'd like to introduce this concept of Bharat. I think most of us would know, okay, there's Bharat on one side, and we have basically are missing, lower costs. They're always dependent on high cost, urbanized products, high cost, globally produced products, correct? They're missing the independence, they're missing the quality, and they don't have a choice. This still exists as we enter 2022, right? Whereas India on the other side, it's only 50 million of users. Okay, very small market, high purchasing power, but a very small market, right? So for companies who want to enter India, they need to look at Bharat. And for companies who are already operating in India, are you expanding in Bharat or no? And for companies who are already, in certain parts of Bharat, are you going deeper in Bharat or no? All right. In addition, so that's also a geographic expansion in addition to going, overseas, right? And this came like a sudden and a very pleasant shock to me when multiple times, certain products that are available in rural parts of Kerala, okay, I never found them in urban Bangalore, right? Certain brands which I find in a small town, Gujarat, farm tracts in Punjab, I never find them in MP. Okay. And those companies are doing substantially well across sectors, capital goods, consumer goods, financial products, technology products, educational brands, right? Food and beverage brands across sectors, right? So, and that's the divide. That's a massive divide. And this is the evolution that we should be very cognizant about. The red line, okay, is essentially those 500 million consumers who are ready to transition from a situation where they do not have independence, quality, and choice to transitioning to like our urban cousins, like in India. So think about it, right? In Bharat, your WhatsApp and YouTube is largely a means of communication and entertainment, right? And that's the digital evolution, right, for Bharat. And they use Google for information, but there's not much of commerce. Correct? That's a power of internet. So those 500 million people who are new to the internet, can your business model convert those users only to consumers? They start paying, they start transacting. So do you have a channel? Do you have a online, offline, phygital presence, okay, to tap into this next wave of consumption? That's the larger question we should be answering, okay, and solving for this $1 billion, which is stunted. Okay, and if you look at all the recent uh, investments that have happened in India per se, effectively those are to tap this consumption bracket, right? So it's no longer a poor country. It's a poorly served country. Let's put it like that. Okay, so it's our responsibility as business owners to get high quality products that matter to them, okay, at a cost that's affordable, right? You leveraging the power of internet. And when I say internet, that brings me to this space. Okay, that's essentially your India, Bharat getting covered. Okay, and that's the density of people in India who are connected on the net. No region left unconnected. What are we doing about it? It just can't be communication. It just can't be communication. It just can't be entertainment. We have to transact that into commerce, right? But the problem is customer insights. We do not have customer insights because we never considered them as customers, right? So I'm trying to merge the digital and mobile revolution with data, hard data. Correct? Is your business model data ready to enter into newer markets, right? Within India, Bharat, or overseas, right? So how do you capture customer insights? That's also important. So uh, having said that, India is not a single market. Again, I'd like to show this very interesting split pre-Jio and post-Jio. Okay, I have no affiliations with Jio or Reliance, just I make it very clear. But I think those were the inflection points. Okay, think about it. Pre-Jio on the top, okay, is all in India was all about Instagram, Netflix, Google, Amazon, right? To the bottom in Bharat, it post Jio still, where there is a lot of where mobile has become cheap, data is becoming more accessible. We had TikTok, I think that died out for whatever reasons. We have ShareChat, the most successful homegrown India social network. Correct? That's it. We've stopped there. There's a lot of opportunity to harness information and convert that into commerce. Commerce means actual products that will pay for you, right? So if you're missing out on this digital revolution, which is very data driven, you're missing out on a massive, massive consumption base. You're missing out on a huge growth opportunity, okay, in markets outside your existing markets, which are called home markets, right? So interestingly, pushing it further, this is how it looks. correct? That's your India and Bharat. Huge. That's the depth of Bharat, right? So Bharat will use your Bharat Pay, Phone Pay, Store King, Meesho, which is a social commerce channel, Daily Hunt, Share Chat, in addition to your YouTube and WhatsApp, right? Versus the urban guys, very small product, very small product basket. So the question again to ask, which of these channels, like think about it, Bharat Pay, Store King, Novo Pay, Meesho, all your offline agents, these are all channels for you to distribute your products and services and solutions, provided that your products and solutions are designed for what they need. Okay. And you cannot miss out this bus, right? And from content, commerce and services and payments, there are massive opportunities across the board, right? Um, that's something post which, I like to always talk about the 3 L's for not just India entry, but any market entry. Okay. In my limited experience, what are these 3 L's? You got to look beyond the metro cities, not just in India, but also in overseas markets. All right. Be it for consumption, be it for distribution, be it for production, be it for financing. Okay. You need to look at beyond metro cities, right? That's the first L. The second L, leverage technology for distribution, right? Distribution is a very critical part of your business, and you need to build it using technologies. And these days, a lot of technology products and platforms are available for you to distribute last mile. Okay, you don't necessarily need to set up a brick and mortar. You can do a physical and a digital, a mix of the two. So how much have you done on the phygital side? That's another diagnostic assessment you should be doing on your own business model, right? Think about it. I'm going to use a very large example, a company, a very large company, right, which pivoted the Reliance Industries from brick and mortar to today, which is digital, correct? Same is true. Same is true for most businesses today. Okay, new businesses, small businesses. New companies are going digital first. They're going mobile first. They're leveraging the power of pin codes, data for distribution, right? The third L, always get a local partner to work with your business, not for your business, right? That local partner should be a critical stakeholder. Okay, so you could have a central India local partner. You could have a local partner in northern part of Thailand. Okay, a local partner in southern part of Thailand, local partner in for Cambodia, Laos put together, correct? So make them stakeholders in your business. Okay, and localize the products. Okay, and this, I think I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts in some while, and I will re-emphasize on localizing the products and big companies that have failed because they did not localize products, right? So those are my 3 L's for not just India entry, but any market entry. So, I think before market entry, be it overseas or be it outside India or a new market in Bharat, I find it very useful to do a diagnostic on your own business model, right? In terms of what? In terms of, okay, what products do you have for which markets? What new market do you want to expand into? And are you product ready for that market? As I said, certain products which I found in parts of Kerala, I could never find them in urban parts of Bangalore. So like I'm talking example of food and beverage, right? So I walked into this store called All Seasons in Bangalore. It's an urban, Bangalore urban. And I find a Maya's Chettinad curry, right? Consumer packaged goods for food. But I can't find a Chettinad curry in Bombay, in any of the conventional supermarkets. Okay, that's That's localizing products and markets, right? So are you ready for that? Take a self-diagnostic of how much are you leveraging data. When was the last time you leveraged real-time data to decide? And when was the last time you leveraged technology to set up your distribution? Correct. And I know there will be counter arguments that, certain businesses cannot be digitized. I'm afraid to say all businesses on earth are getting digitized, including the most conservative and riskiest products like insurance. No other product can be as risky as that, right? Or sensitive to data. Health insurance is getting distribution for health insurance, distribution for insurance, general insurance is getting digitized. Sorry. So if that product category can digitize, I'm sure the rest of the product categories definitely can digitize, right? So those are three Eds. All of us, we've got an Indian side. I'm going to put India and Bharat as one here, right? We're all one. So we have global aspirations, but we seek products that are adopted to our ethos, right? Localization is a huge thing. I'll give you a classic example of a very large company, right? Like, why did a lot of American auto companies had to pull out? Because they came with their snobbery that whatever was successful back home in the US, in their home market, will be successful in the overseas market. Clearly, it did not. Clearly, it did not. Correct? One standout inspiration for me, and no other company has really inspired me as much, is the Korean Hyundai. The way they localize their products to suit the local markets is incredible. Okay, they give them a lot of options and they work very, very well with the local partners. They leverage technology and they definitely look beyond the metro cities, right? That's so they picked up doing business in India much, much better than I think most other nationalities. So with that, I'm going to take it to how do you do a market entry? Correct. You're going to keep it very frugal and very, very agile. Okay. Frugal meaning don't make it very capital intensive to start with until you have a lot of evidence that, yes, I can crack the market. How large the market is doesn't matter. What matters is, can you crack the market? Is your business model ready to crack the market? So keep it frugal, learn and be agile, be very, very responsive to just two people, the users and customers. So you got to be customer obsessed and user obsessed to be successful in any new expansion, right? Geographic expansion. So what is this frugal and agile entry means? In my limited experience, I've, distilled it in two phases. Phase one and phase two. Phase one is where you explore, you do not commit anything. Okay. This is essentially like a surgeon or a general physician only diagnosing the patient. The surgeon or the physician is not in a hurry to write the prescription. So invest a lot of time in exploring a market before you commit. That makes you learn the market very, very, very quickly. Okay. Phase two is, of course, act. Okay. I'm going to break down the do's and don'ts in phase one and phase two. Okay. For phase one. So for phase one, which is explore, I've got two parts, what you should be doing and what you should not be doing. Again, this is not sacrosanct. I may be completely wrong here. This is based out on my experience, right? So what you should be doing to explore, visit all places of action, places of consumption. Like, for example, you want to enter Thailand, okay? And let's say you are a herbal cosmetic brand or a clean cosmetic brand. Okay. So you got to visit, where do people in Thailand buy these kind of products? Online, offline, with cities if it's offline. Is it GT, general trade, modern trade? Is it the mom and pops? Is it the high-end malls in Bangkok? Okay. What are those? So visit and observe those places of action. Okay. The other place of action is, of course, the distributors, leverage the Chamber of Commerce. And I think the BCCI is a fantastic platform. Leverage the chamber to get access to each of these places of action. The distributors there who deal in similar product categories. who, where are they produced? Are they importing it, or are they locally sourcing it? Or is it a mix of the two? Correct. That's a lot of learning there. And I think, in my view, when I used to do market entry and cross-border M&A, we always used to invest a lot of time in scouting the market, getting a feel of the market. That building that conviction is very important. No, don't depend on research reports. Don't depend on any market research reports. You as a promoter, you have to do it yourself, right? That's where the maximum learning happens. That's the first thing. Observe how they purchase, why they purchase, when do they purchase. Correct. Very, very important. This, yeah, I know it's very tedious, but it's, I always like to say, suffer now rather than later. Correct. So you bear the pain now of observing them, and very minute details. And that's what I'm doing right now for one of my other clean tech investments. I'm going on the field. It's an FMCG product. Do they purchase? How do they make their payments? All these matters a lot in today's time, because you're not providing a product alone. Today you're providing an experience. Your business model should deliver an experience, not just a product or a solution, right? So the entire user journey and customer journey needs to be observed by you, by your team, okay, your core team. So that brings me to the other point. Build a core team, 2-3 people who are only focused on answering the question where to grow next. That is the only job description they should be having. Those 2-3 people, they do nothing else. Okay, and go with them. That you can build that growth team within yourself, and it's always helpful to have a small 2-3 member growth team, and go visit, do this recce's. Very, very important. Interact, talk to the users. Do not interview, do not probe, just talk to them. Okay, why this product, alternatives. Okay, and uh, people do something, they say something, and there's always a gap. So you got to cover these kind of insights. You got to meet as many stakeholders as possible: regulatory stakeholders, contract manufacturers, distributors, customers, potential employees in your local market. Okay, you can't run your company like you run your company in your home country, right? You got to build your local team. So meet as many stakeholders as possible, and talk to the other entrants and learn from their successes and failures. I ask them why they failed, what happened. Uh, don't don't have 100% foreign team. Foreign here doesn't refer to any nationality. It only means that you can't only be leveraging on a foreign team. You need to have a good mix of the local market, the local team, and the home team, right? Do not control the local markets via global headquarters. So don't say, oh, headquarters is in India, so this, and you're operating in Thailand or Cambodia, and say, oh, let the headquarters take some budgetary call on it. No, that's not going to work. Okay, empower your local team, empower your local office with some budgets to take decisions. That's the success. Okay, not everything should go to the global HQ. All right, very, very important. And I've seen, I can't name those companies, I've seen many companies fold up their operations because everything was globally controlled in a global HQ. Okay, so it doesn't work in a fast moving environment. On the other side, do explore localization of products. Like I gave the example of the Chettinad curry, right? You got to localize products. Don't lift a product that was successful in your home market and say, ye wahan bhi chalega. It's not going to work. Okay, because see, ultimately you're dealing with customers and users. If you don't make these two guys happy, these two stakeholders happy in your business model, everything else is going to fall apart, right? And products is the way to solve their problems. Always include a local market expert on your team. If you're going to Cambodia, say someone who can speak the local language, knows the local market really well. More importantly, the sentiments, the traditions, the rituals. Pay a lot of attention to the rituals and traditions. Okay, because you're dealing again with people. Very important to respect and be very sensitive to those soft aspects of doing business. And the best way to learn is to interact with as many early stage ventures in your market. correct? So visit an incubator in Thailand, visit an incubator, say if there's a Southeast Asia incubator. Why? Because these are the innovators who are challenging the big boys, okay, in the specific markets. So, and they would know how to hack those markets really, really well. And this is what I also do, right? Any new market, go and visit an incubator or an accelerator. Figure out what are they doing, what are they up to, why are they up to. You also get a very good understanding of the landscape, competitive landscape, pricing power, buying behavior, selling motives, correct? Team and people issues, cultural issues, best place to learn, okay? Network. So again, a question you should always ask, doesn't mind, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're an MSME or an SME, you cannot distance yourself from the innovators in early stage ventures, right? You got to ask one key metric of your growth team. Okay, how many startups have you met in our field? What are they doing? Okay, how are they doing differently? Where do we stand with respect to them? Because those are the early stage ventures that are reimagining and redefining the industry. Okay, it's not the big boys. Big boys catch up late. Okay, and that's been the mantra across the globe. So we as MSMEs have that inherent advantage. The only barrier is, are we building a system of this growth team in our organization? And are we responsive? Are we open-minded? Okay, are we doing the grunt work of visiting that places of action? Okay, don't, okay, force feed your offshore success in the local market. As I said, right, just because you were successful in, say, Western Maharashtra doesn't mean you're going to be successful in Punjab or UP. Okay, vice versa. If you're very successful across India and Bharat, doesn't mean you may be successful in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, or any other country. Okay, or even US and Latin America. You cannot lift it. Okay, and that brings me to the other part. You can't lift and market a foreign product on an as-is basis, right? Think about it. Even large technology companies like Uber, which thinks like a startup still. Okay, startup is a mentality. It's not the stage of your venture. They had to change to cash to accept payments, right? So you can't lift and market, right? That's the same product. Do not ignore the non-urban opportunities, be it in India or any other part of the world. Every part of the world has non-urban opportunities, and those are your future customers. Okay, and there is a lot of inherent advantage in designing products and solutions for these non-urban opportunities. I will clarify and qualify. Non-urban opportunities does not mean social entrepreneurship only or an NGO kind of a play. No, these are really, really a creative, lucrative commercial opportunities. It's how you design the products, right, for them. Do not avoid delaying a key partnership with a local partner. Okay, don't. And I've been in a situation like this where we were dealing, partnering with a local market expert, and it cost us very, very bad. So we had to roll back our entire operations. This was for a fitness venture that I was a part of, sports and athletics training, which we were a part of, right? This team from US, of course, they think they know, and they know it all, like always. I kept telling them, let's build a local partner, but these guys never listen. Okay, so don't delay. Okay, explore those partnerships, and do not ignore non-English customers. Just because someone speaks good English doesn't mean that's the only customer base. Okay, Harley Davidson in Kolhapur, come on, right? Classic example, okay, of globalization. The non-English, so this is a myth again, correct? I mean, I've dealt with a lot of Japanese. They don't speak English, but hey, one of the most brilliant engineers, right? You meet from Japan. One of the most brilliant management team you meet from Japan, right? So again, that's a myth. Okay, it's overrated. It's only a communication skill. It's not an indicator of skill set. Okay, so feel proud about the local language, but go global. All right, and localize. So that's on phase one, right? Phase two, again, how to be frugal and agile. It's very, very, very straightforward. I'm going to give you the steps. Choose a test launch based on your observations, interactions. Okay, choose a test launch in a very, very isolated market where even if you fail, it does not, fall flat. Okay. Okay. Explore a distributorship online and offline. great way to, test a market. Local contract manufacturing, local development if it's tech, and then you should look at a JV if the distributorship is working, if there is enough evidence of customer base. Build a local team to run the market entry JV. Okay, and you can also don't rule this out. Small or a micro acquisition to boost local presence. Right, you might get a lot of benefits from the local countries there. Right. All right. So that's what I have for now.